I'll be honest, watching this trailer made me think that this was Babe the Pig set in 2026.
La la la.
That is a movie I never watched. It's a movie I don't care to watch. This, The Sheep Detectives, was certainly a movie I had no desire to watch. I couldn't even get through this trailer. And then something changed.
A soliloquy for every movie. For Casablanca, Tommy Boy. He's here, it's him. It's Andrew Toy. It's Andrew Toy.
Jeremy Jahns, a movie critic that I revere and think highly of, he did a review of this movie, which shocked me. I was like, why? Like, he's been skipping some movies lately that just look flat out horrible. Hoppers was one of them that he skipped. And I'm just like, okay, all right, let me see what he has to say about this. He said that this was a really emotional movie and he was claiming that he cried a bit or was about to cry.
Allergy season's hitting hard today.
And if you know me, I love me a good cry. I'll give this a fair try. But man, that trailer, that was a brutal trailer. The movie was not so brutal, I will tell you that. Now, though I didn't end up crying in this movie like I do in most movies, The Sheep Detectives was really good. Like, I don't know how they did it. I think a lot of people were expecting the same turnout from Animal Farm, which Angel Studios just put out.
I love to laugh.
Talk about a bad trailer. Apparently, that was like their first huge flop. It looked like Angel Studios had no better clips to advertise, so that's all they had to promote the movie with, which turned out to be utterly true, that it was a stank of a movie. But then you've got The Sheep Detectives. They're going to put in all the stupid, goofy stuff just to get the kids to drag their parents to the theaters, knowing full well that the parents were going to end up probably being more engaged than the kids. And that's not saying that the kids are going to get bored. Like, this movie really does cater to the entire family. And yeah, it is a genuinely sheep movie. It is a genuinely sweet movie without being manipulative in any way. They really struck the balance for that sweetness to land in a family film. If you want to talk about the gooeyest, sugariest movie I think has ever been made, check out this video I did on Patch Adams. Ooh, my tooth is still sore from watching that movie. The Sheep Detectives somehow manages to juggle humor, mystery, thrill, suspense, emotion, grief. You know, the whole movie is centered around the idea of death. And I know we've all heard that a million times about family movies. Like, oh, it's all about death and dying. This provided a really unique take on the reality of death. These sheep don't think that you die. They think that they just magically turn into a cloud one day. And so then when they're faced with the reality of death, they're forced to have to really re-examine their entire belief system. And that's the real success with this script. So many family films, they don't even try now. They just talk down the kids. They're just an hour and a half long Saturday morning cartoon. Everything has to be a joke. Everything, they have to throw the latest pop songs in just to boost sales for the songs or whatever it is. Like, I stay away from family films. I really do, because they're just that horrible nowadays. And this is coming from somebody that used to be a really big Disney and Pixar fan, but not anymore. Now, I do think we're in a stage where it's starting to turn around a little bit from the horrific last 15 years that we've had. I do think we're starting to see a shift, but we'll see as time goes. But the makers of The Sheep Detectives miraculously weren't afraid that kids were going to get bored. They were confident enough in their film to know that it was going to be engaging for all demographics. Kids are going to absolutely enjoy the talking sheep and the mystery, trying to unravel and solve it Scooby-Doo style, and the comedy. Like, there are quite a few parts where I giggled. I actually giggled. I giggled a Google. That was stupid. As for the adults, we can connect with the themes of loss, with memory, with remembering good and bad times and learning how to move on from a tragedy. I know we've seen those themes over and over again, but I think that is the importance of film. I think it's good to be reminded time and time again that we are in fact immortal. And it's good to ponder that because it'll force us at some point to really start to think, well, where do we go after we die? Do I just become a cloud? Or is there something else that's happening here? And honestly, the detective angle is pretty fun. Watching these sheep try to apply real life human detective scenarios to this crime, it leads to some pretty funny moments. And I'll admit, okay, so Jeremy Johns, I brought him up earlier. He said that, the kids are going to have fun trying to figure it out, but the adults are going to figure it out halfway through. I didn't. I was never good at solving mysteries. I just wasn't. I think there's only been like 2 or 3 movies I could think of where I flat out guessed the ending. One of them was What Lies Beneath. After I saw the trailer, I said, well, she is what lies beneath. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently I was right. What I love most about this film, though, is that, yes, it has its fun and quirky moments, but like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, it knows how to slow down and take a deep, long breath and allow certain scenes to just be, while pushing the story forward, but just in a more reflective tone, allowing the audience to sit and ruminate in the dialogue that's taking place. Because there are some pretty good gems of lines that I hope sticks with people. I feel like I'm me talking to me 24 hours ago. Like, trust me, it's a good movie. I know it looks stupid. Honestly, I was sucked in after like the first minute and a half. I was like, oh, this is the tone of the movie. I think I could deal with this. The emotional core is what elevates this movie from just a cheap gimmick. Now, there's a lot of Bible verses that talk about Jesus being the shepherd and we are the sheep. I feel like that's a little too on the nose. But there's another one from Matthew. It's Matthew 5:4, and it's Jesus speaking. He says, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. I think that's a beautiful verse for parents to talk about with their kids after watching this movie. I think that verse can apply to Coco as well. Because underneath all the mystery and the humor, it's really a story about grief and remembering those we love. This film doesn't say that sadness is something that we could just pretend or laugh away. It genuinely teaches that mourning is a part of love and that comfort, healing, and hope can still come to us even after a loss. And that's a lesson I think kids and adults should often be reminded of. And I really respect this movie for being willing to tackle such an issue in a world where family movies just brush death aside and pretend like it's not a thing that actually happens to us. It's like a dark animated movie, if you will. Like, remember Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Prince of Egypt? Like, those were like the pinnacle of 2D animation. And then we just went the Shrek route for the next 27 years. Like, this was a family movie that wasn't afraid to be dark. And they talked about death and grief and loss in such a family-friendly way. The voice cast is excellent, the humor lands more often than not, and the film finds that rare sweet spot that is welcoming to children but doesn't alienate the adults. In a time when so many family movies feel disposable, The Sheep Detectives actually stands out, and it's gonna be around for a while. I gotta say, we're halfway through May, and I'm kind of impressed with the movies we've been getting this year. I don't look at the finances. I look more at the reviews. I want to know the number of movies that are genuinely good, because finances, they're so misleading. Like Jurassic World Dominion made a buttload of money. I think that's in the $1 billion club. And it has absolutely no right to be there. And so that's why I just look at the reviews. I don't care about the numbers and how much the movie brought in, because those are so misleading. But when we're talking about really genuinely good movies, I think 2026 is really off to a great start. As usual, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Don't forget to like this video only if you genuinely liked it. That's why I don't ask you to do it at the beginning of the movie, because there's no way to know. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I will see you in the next video.